was weird yesterday because it was not dummy. I didn't do it from the microphone. Hello? Ah, hold on. I have to restart Audacity. Do you have to do that sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yesterday I recorded in a microphone for no reason.
Just the looks of it.
Oh, well, hello. Hello. Now it's nice and tiny. That makes sense. Okay. Nice and tiny. Okay. All right, I'm ready.
Sorry, I was answering a question while I was. Okay. 1, 2, 3, record.
1, 2, 3. Do you want to start it since the next one is my birthday? So what?
I started yesterday.
Yeah, but then the next one will be. I mean, I guess you could start my birthday one. Yeah, you could start my birthday one. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of the In Raw Life podcast. We are thrilled to have you here. We're thrilled to be doing this series all about like speaking better over ourselves, which just feels good to do. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. But before we do that, I just want to remind you that you simply rating, reviewing, or subscribing to our podcast does wonders for us. It takes you a simple second, but it has a huge lasting impact on us and the growth of this podcast. So if you could just take a minute to help spread the word of the In Raw Life podcast by just rating, reviewing, or subscribing, or if you even have 2 minutes and you want to send a copy of this episode or any episode you love to a friend or family member, we would also really appreciate that, because our goal is to keep this podcast growing to make a bigger impact in women's lives everywhere.
Yeah, and if you are a woman who loves making a big impact on this world and wants to impact others, we have a group just for you on Facebook that is called Work-Life Balance for the Empowered Unstoppable Women. That is where we show up every week, give our little, super value-packed nuggets in 8 minutes or less every Thursday, and just come together in community as women who got a lot going on and want and desire to do it all and feel really good about it and enjoy the heck out of it. So if that sounds like something that you want to be a part of and you want to come bring your value to and learn more, make sure you go find us on Facebook, Work-Life Balance for Empowered Unstoppable Women.
Random weird question. Do you have your headphones in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I heard an echo. And so I was like, oh no. But I can see. Beautiful, beautiful. So sorry. Okay, so for today's episode, we're talking about intentional living, because Jess and I are all about time intentionality. We really feel like it's so important to be intentional with the way you spend your time. And so we wanted to just talk about living intentionally with everything that you do. And so today's affirmation that we're covering is I am intentional. And before we fully get into it, I just wanted to share this quote from author Annie Dillard. She says, "How we spend our days is how we spend our lives." And I feel like that's such an important thing to remember, because you're like, you think of who you are as a person and you're like, oh, I'm a good mom, I'm doing big things, and one day I will fill in the blank. But the truth is, like, one day may never come, but what is happening right now is what's happening right now. And so if you're running around feeling super stressed, always overwhelmed, feel like like you just can't hang, but it's okay because one day it'll get better, it's like that's not what your life is defined by. Your life is defined by the choices and actions you're making now. So that is the thought that I thought we could enter into this episode with.
Yeah, when you said that quote, brought me back. I mean, we've talked about it all this month anyway. Brought me back to Atomic Habits, because it's about habits, or anything you ever read or listen to about habits is your habits, therefore your beliefs about yourself, are literally the stacking blocks of our lives. Like, it's what you do regularly and who you are regularly that makes your life. And like Sierra was saying, excuse me. And like Sierra was saying, like, unfortunately, tomorrow's not promised. Like, 5 minutes from now isn't promised. So make sure that you're making every single moment count towards what you want your life to be. Because this is your life. This moment right now is your life.
Yeah. So if you want to embody the idea of I am intentional, I think there's a few different aspects of like that you can look at with your life. And the funny thing is, I was looking up stuff to see what other people's perspectives were on this. And all of the top, when you Google like how to be more intentional, or I'm not exactly sure the exact phrasing that I did, but all of the top blogs and results on about intentional living were not in the US, which I
Hmm.
find so fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Not
we as
surprised.
US people are not experts on this, which is sad. Like, I wish that we were. I wish that we prioritize this a little bit more, but I think, that's our mission, is to encourage you to prioritize this more so it will become a movement in our country as well as other foreign countries. Um,
Well, that kind of fits into like the American dream, is to do it all, to have it all, but not to necessarily enjoy it all. It's
mhm,
just to be it all. So,
yeah,
yeah, finding that balance that we always talk about, so that you're also being really intentional and loving
yes.
it.
Um, so I found this one blog that talked about 6 ways to be intentional every day. And it was interesting. Like, it's a little repetitive, but anyway, it just like gives you a different idea of things you can be intentional about. So I was gonna mention the list of things that there are. So the first one is to be deliberate with your day, like your day as a whole. The second is to be clear on the result you want. The third one is to be purposeful with your time. So I like that they separated that out. Like, your day and your time are actually different.
Hmm.
Like, we have a lot of things that we teach on to improve your time, but it's not just about your time. It's about your whole approach to the entire day, your attitude, your mental health, the whole lot of it. Um, 4 was be considerate with your focus. Then 5 was become focused on your goals. And then 6 was be mindful of your most important relationships. And so, again, like, focus and goals, like, that kind of sounds like it goes hand in hand, but it's not. I mean, your focus, like, you could have a goal of, I want to like grow my business, or you could have a goal of, I want to clean the house. But if in that moment you're cooking dinner, like, your focus should be on dinner, on enjoying the dinner you're preparing, on the conversation you're having with your family as if they're in the kitchen with you while you're doing it. So it may not be your goal for the day, but you can still be intentional on being present and focused on the situation you're in, whether it fulfills your goals or not.
Yeah. I had a thought in there and then it slid it away. I
Where
was
did it go?
being, well, because I was being so intentional on listening to what else you were saying.
The last one I said too, which I didn't cover, what was being mindful with your most important relationships. Was that what inspired your thought?
um, well, no, something maybe. It was something along the lines of, where, you hear this idea or quote or thought a lot, but where you give your attention and your focus is what you're going to get out of anything. Like, that's where whatever is going to grow. So, like, relationship wise, like, if I want a strong relationship with my daughter, I'm going to give her a lot of my time, energy, and focus in general, because I want that to stay strong. If I'm like, oh, I really want a strong relationship with my daughter, but I only spend maybe 10 minutes with her every single day, and I intentionally give more of my time, or unintentionally, to somebody or something else, then that goal of having a strong relationship with her isn't going to happen because I'm not being intentional about growing it. And that happens with anything. I mean, your business, think about dinner. Like if you're making dinner and you're like, my goal is to have a really delicious dinner, and yet it's just kind of like on the back, literally on the back burner, and you're like doing a million other things and you're being more intentional with those other things, dinner is probably going to come out pretty crap, like, because you're not focusing on it or paying attention to it. So it can be like as small as that to as big as building your business, having a great relationship, whatever it is.
And I also think that it's okay to shift your intentions. So that, like, what your example was with dinner was like such a perfect example, because last night I had this whole plan of making this like really delicious dinner that it has broccoli in it, and it makes Arrow actually say that he loves broccoli. He's like, "Oh, broccoli, my favorite."
Yes.
Ridiculous. He's so ridiculous. Um, but
He's allowed to love broccoli. Are you saying that that's a ridiculous statement?
he's ridiculous because he loves the layers and layers of cheddar cheese that is coaxed around the tiny little specks of broccoli. But I don't tell
Yes,
him that.
but he is speaking the fact that he loves broccoli. Let him do
Leave
that
him
because he
room.
will think he loves broccoli. So when something else with broccoli comes up, he's like, I love broccoli. Of course I'm going to eat this.
Of course I want that. Exactly.
Bam.
Boom. Done.
Motherhood solved.
Yeah, solved. Totally easy now. Um, so what was it? Oh, so I was like making this dish that I made one other time and it made him think he liked broccoli. So I was making it again and I did make it. He did think he likes, like, I put smaller chunks of broccoli, so he ate more broccoli than before. So he still likes broccoli, which is great. But the I was getting, I like was texting um one of my friends. I don't even remember what it was about at this point. Whatever, it doesn't even matter. But it was like so good. We don't talk that often. And so it was like so nice to just chat. And we were chatting about motherhood and how motherhood can be hard sometimes, and like our expectations versus reality, and like the different ages that our kids are in. So, like, whatever. And it was just like what I needed in that moment, because I was feeling defeated because like Arrow's been fighting me. I'm trying to see if what happens without Gray napping, which has been a little bit of a struggle. So like right around dinner time is when I'm feeling the most defeated, and having this text come through that was like, "You're not alone." And once they hit this age, it gets a little easier on this part. It was just like, and that was really refreshing to my soul. So there was one point where I didn't add the broccoli like right as I was supposed to. And I was like, "Oh man, now the orzo is gonna not be al dente," and I could have beat myself up over un al dente orzo. Phrase I never thought I'd say. But instead, I just put the broccoli in, I cooked it a little longer, and it still turned out fine. But like I intentionally responded to my friend instead to fill something that was like aching in my heart. So, like, I think it's really important too that we don't beat ourselves up over
Mhm.
an intention shift, because I think it, like, intentions can shift. If one intention becomes more like higher than the other, that's okay. I mean, if your intention becomes escaping into social media, okay, maybe that's something you want to work on. But if it may feel like a distraction, and it may actually be a distraction, like my friend distracted me from cooking dinner, but it, like, ask yourself if it serves you or not, because maybe that's an okay, like, maybe it's not so much of a distraction as it is an intention shift.
Yeah, I like that intention shift. And none of us are perfect. Like it's just
Mm-mm.
because the plan is set doesn't mean that that's always how it goes or in general how it goes, but you have it to like fall back on. And the fact that Sierra had that dinner planned and then got, distracted by her friend's text that really helped her, dinner still got made and was
Mhm.
nutritious and at least just fine, if not delicious,
I mean,
for her
Arrow ate
family to
broccoli.
eat. Like if you didn't have that dinner planned and you were like feeling defeated and your friend texts you and that helped you, but then you'd be like, oh crap, what am I doing for dinner? So like you were able to fall back on it even if it's not where you were fully focused intentionally at the moment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, if I don't plan out my dinners, I'm like, oh, I didn't set meat out. what am I gonna do? But
Mhm.
now I look and I'm like, what's for dinner tomorrow? Oh, bring this meat out for tomorrow. Done.
I mean, it, like, we talked about dinner last time too. So like even like a work project, like I have some work project that I'm working on and I'm like feeling defeated or feeling out of focus or tired or whatever. And like a friend texts me and I'm like, oh, this conversation is something I really want right now, even though it's pulling my focus away and I'm then therefore not being intentional about my work. Like if I had that project planned to do and complete by a certain time that day, that conversation is not going to completely blow the project away because I
Mhm.
have that set and I know I need to fall back to it once done. So just to
So
give a
this is
different perspective.
actually leads perfectly into the next bit of research that I found, which I really love. And it's 7 questions that we can ask ourselves to inspire more intentional living.
Oh, I
Are you
love
so
these
excited
questions.
for this?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, so the first question is simply, why am I doing this? Like, why? What did I do? I feel forced into it? Do I want to do it? That's another question. Just why do I, why am I doing this? The next one is, who am I doing this for? Am I doing it for myself? Am I doing it for someone I love? Am I doing it for someone that I just need to people please? Super important question to ask yourself.
Mm.
Then this one, you'll love this question, Jessica. When I read this, I was like, this has just written all over it. Simpler way.
Wait, you cut out.
No! The question is there a simpler way?
Yes.
I knew you would love that. I was
That
like,
is
wait,
the
why did you
story
not get
of
excited?
my life.
It's
Seriously, that's the story of my life. Is there a simpler way so I can therefore be intentional with other things I really want to do?
yeah, it's so good. The writer of this blog, she said, I'm not sure if this is human nature or simply a bad habit I've picked up, but I've found that taking a moment to pause and look for a simpler solution has been life changing. I don't know why she thinks it's a bad habit. I guess because she's
Yeah.
pausing before continuing on, but I think it's an excellent
It's just
habit.
speak better of herself.
Maybe she's, like I said, they're all British or something. So maybe she's like, look at this bad habit. I take a pause before I continue.
I didn't know that was an inherently British thing, but okay.
No, her dry sense of humor is inherently British.
Oh.
Yeah,
Got
yeah,
it.
yeah. Okay. The next question is, how does this add value to my life? Because again, like if you're doing something out of obligation or people pleasing, this is a really important question to ask, because if it's not adding value to you or your like the people you provide for, it may not be that necessary. Or perhaps it is that providing value to the person you uh providing value to the person you provide for, but it's still not necessarily enriching them in the like value. Like if my son wants to go play video games all night, he's going to value that, he's going to think it's great, but is it enriching to him? No. So like really just look at it and evaluate, like what is the level of value and what is the like, what are you getting out of it? This is another really good question. What am I giving up? Because with
Mm.
every choice, you're choosing to not do something else. And like,
Hmm.
again, we've been talking about identity. So, like, what do you identify as? So, if I say, oh, yes to hanging out with a friend because I am a good friend, but also I'm saying no to a workout, well, like, am I still an athlete if I say no to my workout? Am I still a good friend if I say, hey, I can't do 7, that's when I work out, but I can do 8? Like, yeah, I'm still a good friend. So, why not, look at the things that you might lose behind, like leave behind, and does giving that up still coincide with the identity that you want?
Yeah, and sometimes we talk about this a lot. Saying sometimes we say no to things that are really exciting, and that's okay because you're voting for the main thing that is important to you right now.
Yeah. Which the next question is, how does this make me feel?
Hmm.
Um, and one thing that this author talked about that I loved is she says, I think a lot of people don't ask themselves this question because it can feel selfish. which is true. Like, oh, like it doesn't matter how I feel. It matters how like the person that I'm saying yes to feels. But no, that's not the case at all, because you are just as much of a human as the person you're saying yes to. And there's no reason that you should devalue your feelings, because they're valid.
And again, you have to like kind of sometimes dive deep there, because sometimes it's like, oh, saying yes to drinks tonight sounds really fun and I would feel really good about it. But going back to the last question, like, what did you say no to? Does that also feel really good? And which one feels better, I guess?
Yeah. And in that case, that like you may not be saying like you're saying no to a boring night in, but you're also saying no to waking up feeling great tomorrow because you're staying out late.
Mhm.
You need to feel great tomorrow. Also, speaking of feelings, I have a tiny human with a lot of feelings heading up the stairs as we speak.
Okay.
Just a warning. And then I don't know, these questions are not numbered, which goes completely against all of the organization that I love, but that's okay. So question number something is, am I being honest with myself? I think this is the last question, because she says finally. So yeah. See
She
if
finally.
yeah. Yeah. So she said, I said yeah a lot just then. Sorry. She said, it's okay. Here I go. Oh, thank you. What? Oh, give me that. Where did you find that? On the floor?
Yeah.
In the stairs. Thank you. In stairs. He loves talking with his one finger.
Funny.
So I guess the idea here is to look back at your previous questions and like see, like, did I answer that honestly? Again, like, because you know, you might answer and be like, oh yeah, this feels great. And then be like, wait a second, let's really pause and reflect. Does this feel awesome right now? Ray, do you think this feels awesome right now? No, this does not feel great.
Awesome. Why not?
I don't know. I have no
You're
idea.
something on the stairs. It's awesome.
Anyway, that is what I have for today.
I think that's great. I think we were very intentional with our time and our information today.
Holy cow, look at how intentional. You wanted to be done. I didn't think we were going to make it happen. Wow.
Oh, bam.
Succinct.
Let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, look at him. He smokes this pretzel. Okay. Anyway. Well, thanks for joining us on another episode. We're super grateful to have you here and glad that you keep coming back. We'd also love for you to be part of the show. So if you want to send us a clip of what balance means to you, you can either record it or you can write it out and send it to hello@inrawlife.com. And then we might feature you at the beginning of the show.
Until next week, I truly hope that you are picking a new intentional belief and identity to speak over yourself, and remind yourself as often as you need to who you are and who you are becoming, because you are intentionally being that person, and give yourself a freaking pat on the back for doing so. And I don't know. I got nothing today. You got something?
What was funny?
We were so intentional that we were really funny.
I know. We had something funny.
And if you can't think of a really funny way to sign off on your podcast, it's okay, because you were just being super intentional with your time and you brought the value. Bye.
Bye. There was something funny. I don't remember what it was.
I mean, we're often kind of funny, but you know.